Ladies and gentlemen, from whatever part of the globe you are watching us from, this is Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your go-to point on matters political and governance analysis here in Kenya and across the region. I'm Richard Mwenja. Such a pleasure to have you with us. And today, I have your favorite think tank, that is none other than former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa. He's here with me, right from his home here in Karen, to help me unpack the day's conversation. Now, it is time that I bring him to your screens. Sir, how are you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm okay. I thank God for it. The weather, although is still a bit not so chilly, but it's just cool enough to make us enjoy this environment and to thank God for the many years He has given us.
Yeah. I understand we are shooting this on the day that is your birthday. How are you feeling? You've just turned a year older.
No, yeah. I always count one at a time. And that they say, live each day at a time. And you thank God for the blessings that He has given you so far. And also appreciate the fact that there are many we started together, but they are not there. We are doing our statistics the other day on about 80 of us who are in Mangu 1977, 1980. Unfortunately, 20 of them have gone to be with the Maker. So those of us who are still here, we must thank God.
All right.
Because it is not because of our holy or our good deeds. It is because of His divine providence and mercy and favor He has extended to us.
Happy birthday, sir. And despite my coarse voice, I'll sing for you at the tail end of this conversation. All right, so stay tuned for that particular part. But then again, how about we go deep into the day's main conversation? And it's a raft of issues. But let's begin with the recent development. And we've seen police boss Masengeli being sentenced to 6 months in prison for not really upholding the rule of law. And there are people who are concerned about whether it is a crime to be a judge in Kenya or it is not. We've seen Judge Lawrence Mugambi come forth with a revelation that his security detail has been withdrawn after the ruling on Boss Masengeli's case. And also, there are those who believe that this is setting a bad precedence for state officers in this country. From where you sit, as a one-time state officer, this thing has been going on over and over again. Is this actually what we call the big man syndrome?
It is a failure of institutions that are supposed to guide us in democratic process, because there must be clear separation of power between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And any decision taken at any level must be taken without any favor, and that's how we swear, without any favor, without any fear. And therefore, Justice Mugambi, in taking that particular decision of making sure that there is something slapped on the face of acting IG Masengeli, it was informed by the law that all of us are subject to the law. And anything you do in your office, you must sure that you do within the confines of the law. And that's the only way you can maintain some democratic presence in Kenya. That yes, democracy does exist. The law does exist. And if you are a member of parliament and you are passing a motion in parliament, should not be passing a motion that is going to favor you or to disfavor any other Kenyan for that matter. When you are making a decision from the executive, the same, not to favor you or not to give disfavor to any other Kenyan. And when you are making a decision as an officer within government, in judiciary, you are making that decision because that is the only way we can maintain respect for institutions. And therefore, Masengeli over-exceeded the limit. And I thought by now he would have been cautioned so that Justice Lawrence Mugambi gets full security. That's the only way we can say we respect the institution of judiciary.
So this far, would you then say that this withdrawal of security detail of Justice Lawrence Mugambi is part and parcel of strategies to intimidate the judiciary and at the end of it, in the fullness of time, emasculate judiciary?
Well, that's the beginning of anarchy. You know, anarchy is a situation where you know the law. You don't apply the law where the law is required to be applied. And where there is no law, you create your own laws. And you make sure that you make decisions based on your own personal wishes or whims. This therefore means what Masengeli has done and what the government has done in general, that's the executive, is an illegality that should not be allowed. Even if anything happened to Justice Lawrence Mugambi today, the government will be held responsible. There is no way whatsoever, because we must protect, and if there is anything, it should have gone back to court to make sure that the decision done by Justice Mugambi is overruled or is overturned. But he did not go to court, and he refused to go to court when he was called upon to give certain information that would have been useful to the people of Kenya. So he himself committed an illegality in the first place, and he used an illegality to make that decision of withdrawing security. He does not own the security forces of this country. And this question should go to the Commander-in-Chief. How is he allowing bad manners to pervade the atmosphere of his own administration? Simple as that. Some of these other things, we are encouraging dictatorship, we are encouraging anarchy, and we are encouraging a situation where it will not be tenable for anybody to do anything. You see, the rule of law is there to protect all of us. So that if I was to oppress you, the law will tell me, no, you have exceeded your limit. Because they say freedom is to the extent that you are not stepping on the rights of others. And therefore, you have a responsibility to understand what is the borderline. That is the most important thing when it comes to issues of the law. The law is not meant for one person and not the other. The same law must be applied. And when you are making a decision, even at a higher level, ask yourself, am I within the law or am I exceeding the law?
The question in the minds of many is, why do we see this coming more so from the National Police Service? At one point, former DCI boss Kinoti repeatedly disobeyed court orders. Now we are seeing it happening with acting IG, Masengeli. Is this an institutional problem within the Kenya Police Service, or it cuts across board?
No, we would be naive to blame it on the police service. It is squarely on the hands of the president of the day. That we could have blamed it on Uhuru Kenyatta. This we blame it on William Ruto. We cannot pretend that such a flouting of the constitutional arrangement is done by an officer without tacit approval from a higher office. And which is the highest office? Office of the president.
So you are signaling that they could be doing all this because they enjoy some immunity from higher powers?
Yes, because they have been engaging in bad manners, beating up people, abducting others. So if they are doing that, and anytime if you are a teacher of a primary school or a secondary school, and you engage in bad manners with your teachers, even the students will behave like you. So Masengeli is behaving like his boss.
So that then this brings to the fore the reality that there having been no single prosecution of police officers who shot Gen Z in the streets, it is because of this kind of immunity and impunity.
Total laxity, impunity, as you've said, and irresponsibility, to say the least. And it's a sign of dictatorship that is seeping in. And I've said and I've called on Kenyans to be vigilant when it comes to this regime. There is dictatorship in town.
At one point you said that we thought the only dictator in town was President, the late Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, but you've been insisting that we have a dictator in the making. Who is this dictator in the making? To be particular, there are many people in government, there are many people in the political arena.
Well, you occupy the same position President Moi did, but President Moi has been made to look like an angel because the things he did, he never exceeded the Constitution. If he wanted to do something, he amended the law before making any decision to that effect.
You see President Ruto becoming a bigger dictator in town?
He is already.
He is?
You think he's becoming? He is. What else do you need to see? Somebody.
But dictators do not advance dialogue when there are issues of national concern, like education funding model, the Gen Z protest, economic issues. Dictators don't give wiggle room for conversations.
They do it at the beginning of time. But once they are comfortable in their seats, if we do nothing, they will visit you with a lot of dictatorial tendencies. How would you have solved so many parastatals? without involving the public that collected that money and made those parastatals what they are. How can you sell KA and pretend this 30-year period? It is a private thing, public partnership, public-private partnership, or whatever you call it. How come that you are now doing it selectively with parastatals that are doing well? You know, KAA is one parastatal that has been making a lot of money despite the theft, and therefore it needed no money from any other quarter. It was an issue of improving on the management of KAA and giving Kenyans opportunity to buy into that parastatal. And many Kenyans would have given their money, whether it's 1,000, 100,000, 10,000. At the end of the day, it would be in the hands of the private for the next 30 years, but private Kenyans who have decided to invest. Now, secondly, this company called Adani is a company that has a lot of problems elsewhere. Why do you think when they come to Kenya, they will not give us those problems? That is what is worrying me.
I'm curious then to understand that, was the appointment of Caleb Kositani, Davis Chirchir, Kipchumba Murkomen a strategic attempt to offer immunity to such impunity that you're talking about when it comes to national deals?
Well, I think it was realignment of a kind, so that you have people who are not likely to question the decisions that you make. And those are signs of dictatorship. A dictator is somebody who will make decisions and call upon you to rubber stamp the decision that he has made. So appointing those particular individuals, some of them may be good people, but you cannot be a good person if you are in a regime that does not believe in respect for the people, respect for the law, and respect for the constitution.
Is that then what informs the shifting of goalposts from the energy CS or P&I? At one point was the biggest critique of such deals, Adani deal, the power deals in the energy sector. Now he's talking the tune of the president and other chiefs in government. Is this what you're talking about, being a good person but in the wrong regime or in the wrong office?
No, there's a difference between a good person and somebody principled. You may be good, but if you are not principled, you can say anything. And therefore, what has come to pass is that Opiyo Wandayi was a job seeker. He wanted to be a minister. And now that he has reached there, it never reached through Raila's hand. He has reached there through Raila's midwifing him to government. He's happy. He does not need anything else.
So also Opiyo Wandayi rode on the blood of Gen Z to get a job, just a job?
Yeah, he was a job seeker. You realize when Orengo was almost opposed to the issue of doing business with the current regime, Opiyo Wandayi was one of the people who were bitter. And even John Mbadi, they were almost calling names James Orengo. These are job seekers. That's why I've always insisted, let us have institutions of democracy. So that if you are in the opposition, enjoy your part of national development from the opposition. And if you are in government, respect the institutions that you are overseeing or presiding over. And therefore, the opposition must also be responsible as much as the government must also be responsible. Yeah.
At some point, as Mio leader, Raila Odinga told us he has loaned expatriates to the government. And this far, for you as a taxpayer, forget you being a former minister or this big person in the society today, have you felt the potential of these expatriate skills that they have brought on government this far, the relief for you as a taxpayer?
You know, this regime will change when the president changes his approach to politics.
How so?
That is the only answer. If it does not change, nothing will change. Even if I was to be minister for anything, there will be, it is a futile exercise, because as long as the boss who chairs the cabinet is still calling the tune in terms of the Adanis of this world, whether it is in airport or Ketrago or any other investment, I'm told they may be going also to shift, so that our insurance money will go through them. Basically, we have sold the country, but we are just pretending.
At the expense of his legacy? Auctioning the country?
He's not interested in legacy, he's interested in this.
Then that would be neo-colonialism.
What else can you call it? You've said it very well. Now from the British to India.
A child of a hustler can rise to power and at some point betray the very same hustlers he pronounced to be in touch with their realities.
You know, political bad manners does not change just because you've changed the office. You know, at times they say some people are chicken farmers. They could have been chicken thieves.
You can't say that.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying, but I'm saying they could have been chicken thieves.
Not the grace of God and success over time?
At times it is sacrilege to invoke the name of God in vain. It is. Don't say Haki ya Mungu when you don't mean it.
Isn't our president a truthful man of God? He's a son of the church.
Ask Rigathi. Ask Rigathi.
The chickens are coming home to roast for Rigathi Gachagua.
Yeah.
From the son of the church.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What else?
You have to be kind. So then, we have a new deal on board. The president saying he's out there engaging with other nations so that they tap into the potential of our youth. He's looking at exporting labor and entering into bilateral trade agreements with countries like Germany and many others. Would you say that we are now on that journey to be that envisioned Singapore of Africa, exporting our labor just so to fix unemployment in this country?
You know, at times when you talk of a human resource component, you must look at it holistically. What kind of labor are you exporting? Is it quality labor, or are you just sending our boys and girls to go and do manual jobs in Germany, sweep the streets, then come with a few dollars here, and people say this is success? My understanding is if you are to export labor, because Africa is going to be very critical in the next couple of years. By 2050, majority of people working in the world will be from the continent of Africa. But there must be quality labor. Now, if you're exporting nurses, do we have enough nurses here in Kenya? If you're exporting doctors, do we have enough doctors here in Kenya? If you're exporting technicians or people in the technical field, do we have enough of them here in Kenya? Those are the pertinent questions we should be asking ourselves, but not just a blanket statement that you make that you're exporting so many people. What is their welfare there in Middle East? Many of them, they come home having been visited with a lot of bans, a lot of humiliation, and a lot of frustration. So my issue is, if you're exporting labor, export quality labor, and tie it completely up to the investment here locally, including this affordable housing system. We should be able to say, as you go to Germany, we must prepare you that part of what you are getting in Germany will enable you to have a decent housing here back home when you come back eventually. And if somebody will not come back for another 20 years, that house can earn some little income for the person and spur national development. You see, you cannot say you are developing this nation and you are exporting the best of your people. Because national development is a complete system where the resources we are capturing, from whether it is from services, from goods that are done within a year, gives us what we call GDP. Then there is also national gross product. National gross product, which means there are also some resources that are created outside. So that we are talking of remittances from these people, not just to support their poor parents at home, but also to be invested in a Adani project like that one of KAA. Because if we were to call upon Kenyans abroad that bring money, we want to improve the situation in KAA or Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
Tungepata 250 billion?
Even more.
In a snippet?
Even more, as long as the management is right. So you cannot mismanage an institution, then you bring a funny fellow from elsewhere, and you say this is going to change things. Knowing the history of this particular person is not good, wherever he has been.
Adani this far has been profiled as the messiah to turn around our economic messes and crisis.
I'm telling you.
Is Adani that John the Baptist to prepare the way for us to be the Singapore of Africa?
Oh no, it's total nonsense. I don't like using heavy words. It's total nonsense. And I want just to tell President Ruto, this thing will be revisited by the next regime. And Adani himself should be careful. Some of these decisions that are taken, ultra vires the constitution, will be reversed by another regime. We are not just going to sign in some of the agreements that were done because of some loot that was given to some of the people in this regime.
Very lastly, sir, and in the interest of time, last week the president celebrated 2 years into office. It's now been 2 years of his tenure as our fifth president.
Yeah.
This far, would you say there's much to write home about, especially on the relief that he promised to give us?
Well, there is so much confusion. You don't know what has begun and what is yet to begin. So that's the only thing I can say. Otherwise, I would have expected it by now to be clear on the projects that are taking off, and even people would have felt. It doesn't take 1 year, but by 18 months, some of the fruits would have been seen about what he has been doing. But there's nothing to write home. So we are still struggling with debts. We are still struggling with taxes.
But he's launching projects every other day, commissioning new projects, launching others.
There is a young man called
Morara Kebaso.
Morara Kebaso. He gives you the summary of all these things. He launches a project only to see it was just a plague erected on a miserable ground, and the place, the only thing that you can see is the grass that was stepped on during the launch. Otherwise, nothing has taken off.
And you're left with a plaque that looks like a tombstone.
Yeah, and I don't know what he's burying.
Well, this man, very funny. He says the truth, but in a very sarcastic way. That point takes us to the wrap of today's conversation, touching a plethora of issues in the world of politics and governance. How about now we cross over to this insightful segment that is Heroes Corner with Honorable Kipruto Arab Kiro. Today, sir, who graces our edition?
The teacher of Kenya. Yeah.
The teacher of Kenya.
Yeah, the teacher of Kenya. Or, of course, you can say the teacher of Africa. A teacher who struggles every day in the morning to go to school, to start teaching basic knowledge to young people who do not know even how to write their names, and they may not even remember their names. He prepares that person until the person can not only write their names, but write a lot more things about this country. That teacher who is patient, he does not have a lot of salary, but he has some meager salary, but it does not even come for overtime. It is not paid for the overtime, but he tells you to go over the weekend so that you pass your primary certificate examination. That teacher is a teacher who makes things work, and he retires at the age of 60 now. By then, during our time, it was at the age of 55. Upon retirement, he gets a miserable pension, but he's happy that he has been able to mentor so many people and pass so many people through their hands. They celebrate when one of their students is appointed a minister, head of parastatal, head of any other institution. But these teachers never remember, these people who have gone through the hands of the teacher, remember him only when he's getting married or when she's getting married.
So this teacher claps for his or her students, even when they are becoming billionaires, while she's a pauper in the village. She's happy, truly, genuinely happy.
This billionaire went through my hands.
It's not a point of envy for her.
No, they don't. They're happy. They are like parents. Teachers are parents.
Wow.
In fact, in life, I've summarized it. There are two people who are patient, the farmer and the teacher.
Zero gatekeeping?
No gatekeeping at all. But they celebrate any time a student gets to a higher position of leadership in the country. I can tell you, even dictators, their teachers are happy when they are doing well at the national level, because they say, this is somebody I taught, but dictatorship they never taught. So that's the person I'm celebrating today, the teacher of Kenya.
Is this the same teacher who is crying for the government to be absorbed under permanent and pensionable terms and being promised over and over again that that's going to happen and it's not coming to board?
It's the same teacher, but this is now somebody who is now getting into the teaching profession. But the teacher was been around, whether he was a UT, whether he was already trained, or he had to go for pre-service training. That is a teacher that I'm celebrating this morning. I'm dedicating my birthday to them, the teachers of Kenya.
The teachers of Kenya.
Yeah.
And for you, Agu, you've also been a teacher to me, personally, on a personal level.
Yes.
And today being your birthday, I thought over it and I brought you something, a personal gift to you.
Is it?
You are a grandfather, you have grandchildren all over the place.
Yes.
So on those cold evenings here in Karen,
Yes.
I brought you something that you'll be using
Yeah.
to play for them and serenade their evenings.
Oh.
So these are harp. This is a nyatiti. That is my gift to you on your birthday. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
So you'll be playing for your children, Kiptarus, Chepto, you name them, and your
Yes.
grandchildren.
Yes,
On
and
cold evenings here.
And Glenn.
Yeah. So happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
For the many graces you've extended to me and the team,
Yeah.
we say asante sana.
Asante, nashukuru sana.
All right,
This
shukran.
is very nice gift.
Yeah,
It will occupy this place
yeah,
permanently.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nyatiti.
Nyatiti.
And herein is a message from me saying happy birthday, Agui Kipruto Arab Kiro.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Asante.
All right. Asante sana. Until we meet next time on Richard Mwenje Exclusive, do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Well, it's a good surprise.
Yeah.